We're back!
Like we never left.
Like we never left, friends. And as a reminder, make sure you are following us across all platforms because, yeah, we've been across the internet, girl.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're back, as those of you who are watching can see, at Bow Market. So our home away from home. We're trying a new thing, kind of filming around town.
And it's beautiful here.
It feels different.
Yes, and we've hosted a few events here as well. So very happy to continue our relationship with Bow. It's a pretty special place.
It is. Friend, what have you been up to?
Girl, what have I been doing? Preparing for this wedding at the time of us filming. It is almost July. No, today is July 1st. Girl, it's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Alley Cat. I need to call her. So yeah, preparing for this wedding, child, and dealing with a bridezilla. I told you how yesterday she got mad because she received an email.
I think it's so funny. Like, weddings bring out just different parts of people's personalities that we didn't even know existed, right? I think for those who don't know you well or think they know you, either way, right? Of the two in the relationship, they probably would assume that you were the bridezilla.
And that's also some like feminine.
I was going to say that.
Like, there's some sexism, some femophobia there for sure, because I'm the more feminine presenting. She's the more masculine presenting. And I think it would just be assumed that she would play this male role.
Yeah, it's funny because I think back to my wedding and I, loved my wedding. I didn't love planning my wedding, but the only person that got in a fight around planning my wedding was Josh and my mom.
Really?
Yeah. Because Josh didn't want people to sit.
During the ceremony or what? Because he thought it was going to be brief?
No, because he thought it makes it more active.
Only Josh.
And my mom wanted bagpipes.
And y'all are not fucking Scottish.
So that, both of those kind of, they got through it.
Well,
and we got bagpipes and benches.
Bagpipes and benches, the story of the Lindauer Cohen family.
And the bagpipes played Jewish songs.
Well, okay, so then we made it culturally competent.
So it kind of worked out. But I guess my point is, yes, weddings are just tough.
It just brings out interesting characteristics because this woman, I said, well, what was it in the email? What was it? It's just, they sent me an email.
So did she expect them to like come with a carrier pigeon?
I don't know.
Or show up at your home and say, let's talk about this?
I put that bitch in a timeout because I still don't know. So at this point,
what does an adult timeout look like? I need to
go to the room and just calm yourself, find your peace and your joy. And about 30 minutes later, because I don't engage, this is what I've learned, because you can't make sense out of nonsense. So we just go to your space, I go to mine. And when I went back, she said, what time do you want to go to brunch? And I said, wait a minute. Let's just maybe have an accountability moment because you just crashed out about an email. And she was like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. But now the planner, Bernice, we love you so dearly and we owe you the world, knows not to put her on any more emails because evidently emails are triggering. So that's what I've been up to. What you been up to?
Different stuff. I'm not planning a wedding, but I'm coming to your wedding.
Yes, excited.
End of school for the girls. My big girl graduated from middle school, which was just an incredible achievement, and she makes me really proud. Getting them ready for summer, getting into a summer swing. I'm really excited because technically yesterday, but actually starting today, I have a new office space.
Yay!
Which is, I feel like for me, a big step in my business. And I'm almost done with my nutrition program. Nourish Boston opening September 15th. So anyway, I'm kind of chugging along and feeling very grateful for this moment.
We will talk about your nutrition business more in today's episode. I'm sure you all saw from the title, but I have to quickly tell a story about Mari if I can.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so
Marion.
She's going by Marion now that she is almost 6 years old. She was like, call me by my full name. I'm Big Marion, not the little one. And so I was asking her last night because the big girls are at camp. I was like, how has it been in the house by yourself with your parents? And she's like, I'm sad. She's a little, I'm sad that they're not here for my birthday. But I'm really happy I get mommy and daddy to myself. And I said, well, what's the best part? She was like cuddling with mommy.
She just knows. I really think that I say this because I love her so much and she's my child. I really think she's a master manipulator. Like, she knows what to say and what to do to make people just kind of like melt around her. This morning, so I was getting my hair done this morning. Thanks, John. Salon 55 Newton. And she got wind of it last night because John called to confirm because we're doing an early appointment because we're filming. And she's like, you're seeing John tomorrow? And I said, yes, I'm seeing John tomorrow. And she goes, can I get a haircut? I need a trim.
And this was not anywhere in the plan.
No. What 5-year-old gets a haircut at 7:15 in the morning on a Tuesday?
And says, I need a trim.
So I call John and I say, hey, can I bring Marion with me? She wants to get a haircut. Of course. So she's so excited. In the middle of the night, I'm not joking, 4 a.m, she comes into my room and says, Mom, we've got to get up to go to our haircut. I was like, don't worry. The alarm is set. The alarm went off, jumped out of bed, got ready, and says, do you think I should bring my violin? And I was like, sure, if you want to bring your violin. We get there early. Instead of going to get a donut next door, she's just standing outside the salon with her violin. He pulls up and he's like, Mari. And she goes, do you want me to play violin for you?
Of course. So really she was preparing for her big day. It's
just like how
have a performance tomorrow.
Like you show up to work and a 5-year-old's waiting outside ready to play violin. Like
for you.
And then he's like, you know, like a really attractive older gentleman. And she goes, do you have kids?
Oh.
And he's like, no, but I have lots of nieces and nephews. And they're...
She's just the sweetest.
She's sweet.
Remember when she had that shopping addiction? Last Mari's story. She had that shopping addiction real bad on her. But then we got rid of it. And I don't know how, because I would have given her the world, because she plays people in the palm of her hands and I sign up for it every time.
Well, because it's like cute when it's a 4-year-old. It's not cute when it's a 14-year-old.
This is why you have the wisdom of a parent.
And so it's hard, because if it were like my friend's kid or my niece, I would be the same, but I have to be like more strict.
You do.
Anyway.
The life and times of Marion.
More to come as she enters kindergarten, I'm sure. Okay. There's so much going on in the world, and it feels, how do you deal with it? I know that's a big question, but I feel, sometimes I feel really like crazy.
I think sometimes I just don't deal. I
think you have to separate.
Yeah, because I think, and also there is, and I noticed this around Iran in the 24-hour news cycle, there is so much fear mongering that is actually playing into like a capitalist agenda, and the fact that the news has been monetized in this way. And at the time of us filming this, NPRs, they're threatening like defunding. The same thing with PBS. Like, public news channels are facing a crisis right now.
Because they haven't, and the big public news sources have moved to basically Reels and TikTok, and YouTube and stuff, because that's how they're monetizing.
It's just insane. And they're being defunded by the government.
Right, so they have to be like funded by ads?
Exactly. And individual donations. If you all have a local public news affiliate, please, please, please donate.
Actually, can I tell a really good story about this? Because I imagine a lot of the local NPRs and public radios do this around different holidays. So it's just, I think, just such an amazing thing. So WBUR, WBUR here in Boston is one of the local NPR affiliates. Around Mother's Day and Valentine's Day and Christmas and stuff, they do certain fundraisers. And this year for Mother's Day, they had this thing where if you donate, I'm going to botch it slightly, but basically if you donate $100 a month, you get a big bouquet of flowers every month from Winston Flowers. And so I got it for myself.
I love that.
So the first Monday of every month, I get this beautiful bouquet
That's something to look forward to.
and it's something to look forward to, and it feels good
to support.
And it's a continue donation, which if you've ever worked in nonprofits, like that's this type of donation that they need because they can rely on it.
Exactly. And build programming around it. And so I bring that up to say thank you for that as a reminder that we should be contributing to these news sources, because if not, we're trapped in this news cycle that, I mean, makes money the more you sit in front of the TV and are just like thinking that the world is going to end tomorrow. And objectively, shit is bad, but it's not as bad as Fox, CNN, MSNBC wants us to believe, depending on the news story of the day that keeps running over and over and over and over again.
And also, we all have to be, and I think this goes into this episode that we're going to talk about, conscious consumers of content and media, like everything else.
Period.
And so you have to be aware, but you have to verify, because if we were to believe the first thing we read about any specific issue in this country or in the world right now, we would be operating on misinformation. Because the first news, for example, you used Iran, but the first news out of Iran was that we destroyed their nuclear capabilities.
Which was just not true.
Which is just, if you verify, not true. And maybe we set them back. There's a lot we don't know about what we don't know.
Exactly. But obviously what we don't know does not make a headline. So let's talk about what is making headlines right now, something that you have quite a bit of experience in. And so I'm so excited to talk to you. We talked about it here on the podcast, but we haven't had a full episode about it. And we want to talk a bit about like where we are. What is the backdrop to health and healthy living for those of us at a big age in 2025? We are facing the MAHA movement. We are facing RFK. We are facing anti-vaxxers. And I'm being told to just eat more protein at the same time and like forget all carbs as if they don't exist if I want to lose weight, because it's this idea that we have to be perpetually skinny. It's just, I am overwhelmed. I am confused. It's a lot. And we want to break through some of the health myths and disinformation today, as well as the health skepticism, which honestly plays right into MAGA hands. And so let's start from the top, friend. What is MAHA and how did we get here?
So you're really generous about how you identify me. I would not say I'm an expert. So that
you know a lot more than I am, more than the average person.
But I think it's really interesting that of the two of us, I think of you as the more current events, technologically savvy one. And you didn't know about the MAHA movement.
None.
And so I think we need to start there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, friend.
So MAHA, a play on MAGA, right? So Make America Great Again, which was the slogan that Trump ran on in 2016. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. The idea that in the US in particular, we have for a developed country, we have a very low life expectancy. We have a very high infant mortality. We have some of the largest populations who are afflicted with chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, high cholesterol. We have a growing number of young people being diagnosed with cancer, specifically colon cancer. We have disparate health outcomes based on socioeconomic and racial identity. And there is also a loud and growing group of people who are vaccine skeptics. And that was capitalized by the Make America Healthy Again group that has RFK as a figurehead. So for those who don't know, Robert Kennedy ran for president on a third-party ticket.
He did.
And then, didn't win, but had a large and growing group of supporters among the wellness community in particular. And I would wager to say among moms and white moms in particular.
Interesting.
And they became a very strong grassroots group for him. He stepped out of the race and joined Trump. He historically had been a Democrat. He's a Kennedy, a really kind of problematic history of both mental illness and drug abuse and abuse. Some very kind of, some corroborated stories, some not, but I would argue maybe not the person you would want representing our country.
I mean, before he got confirmed in the Senate hearing, his cousin came out against
Carolyn
him
Kennedy.
in an op-ed.
And a video.
And I mean, these people who are historically private and tight-lipped about anything.
Yeah. And just saying he's a danger.
He is a danger to America.
So, okay. So without kind of, so now RFK is the figurehead of MAHA, and he becomes Trump's nominee for the head of Health and Human Services. He is confirmed by the Senate, which blows my mind, especially because there are certain Republicans who are doctors.
And we should just say this, that he is not one.
No.
He has no health credential.
No.
Not epidemiology,
Nothing.
not research, not science. This man is an attorney.
And he has no further certification as far as I know. So it's not even like he went back to school or he got a training. He became committed to an alternative lifestyle that he believes helped him out of the darkness of drug abuse.
Okay.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Go off.
And well, I think, I don't know if it's genuine. I think he saw an opportunity, and capitalized on it.
Period.
Anyway, so we have RFK now as head of Health and Human Services. For those who don't know, the Health and Human Services is kind of the umbrella agency for all things health related. NIH, DHS, I mean, everything, funding, research, and creating the blueprint and priorities for public health in this country.
There is nothing that we touch related to food and drugs that does not come through Health and Human Services.
And as from my understanding too, like health research.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So like diet, like protocol, diagnosing, technology. Okay. So he promised in his confirmation hearings that he wasn't going to get rid of vaccines, even though we knew that was probably baloney. Because he
bold-faced lie.
Because he ran on anti-vax platform. He now is in office. He almost immediately got rid of a huge swath of that agency, and so kind of bringing it back to our personal experience, we hosted a beautiful brunch in Baltimore in March, right? So March of 2025. Trump was confirmed in January. So I don't know when RFK was confirmed, but shortly after. And there were a number of people at the brunch who worked for HHS and NIH. And they were talking about the cuts and how they're, these are career public servants. And working on maternal mortality, working on differential health outcomes. Doing important work. Okay. So now we are here, July 2025. A couple weeks ago, we learned that RFK has fired all of the people who had been on the vaccine advisory panel for the NIH, which is, now that we have been reading about it, kind of the panel that meets consistently throughout the year, identifies kind of what vaccines are going to be available and when, what the suggested course of vaccine should be. And he fires everybody. And then puts together a panel of medical professionals or adjacently medical professionals.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I'm not entirely sure who the new people are on the panel, but all of whom are vaccine skeptics.
All of them.
And so here we are. And I think there's a lot more to MAHA than vaccine skepticism, but I think it's an important part of the conversation.
For sure.
Because what I kind of sit with as someone who's in school for nutrition, right? I'm like immersed with a lot of people who are very supportive of RFK. And so I have to be open and curious. I have a few friends who are vaccine skeptics.
Okay.
I also don't understand how wellness and science are now in opposition to one another.
I thought about this last night, and I think many Black folks will point to, well, look at the Tuskegee experiment, look at the Black woman from South Africa, I believe, who was enslaved, colloquially known as Hottentot Venus, who was paraded and put on like a circus circuit for her shape and her bodily proportions. And there has been the eugenics movement, many examples historically of Mississippi appendectomies, which is what they would call forced sterilizations of Black women. Fannie Lou Hamer had to undergo one of those. So there have been many examples historically of how our bodies have not been our own and how we have been used for medical experimentation in this country, right? And so this is what people will say, like, my granddaddy refuses to go to the doctor because he's from a generation that remembers this experimentation. So I think we can recognize that.
Yes.
That we don't have to believe wholesale in probably any, but in this American institution as it's currently designed for sure. But on the flip side, we have to also be able to say that does not mean that we don't believe in science as we know it today.
And I think you and I 100% agree. And this is why we have to figure out a way to be skeptical and ask questions, but also figure out how science can work for us.
Yes.
I think you and I are good examples, personally, of, well, I don't want to speak for you, but like, I know that I would be very, very sick, but for modern medicine.
Period.
I know that I would have lost multiple family members, but for modern medical interventions. I know, personally, with my delivery with my second baby, that I would have experienced some tragic medical outcome either with her or with me if I didn't have medical intervention in that delivery. And so, and with my first, I had a uterine infection, and if that had not been treated, I would have probably lost the opportunity to have more children. And so I think we can hold both things at the same time. We also have a medical system that's driven by profit.
Well, let's enter that into the chat, child. Because that is, I think, a big driver of the disparities as well. And the historical experimentation that I think has probably just been moved to underdeveloped countries around the world, right? And so the fact that we can't trust the industry has a lot to do with big pharma and an unregulated insurance industry at the same time. And so I think what folks are responding to, and maybe not doing so in a way that is actually helpful and scientific driven, the root of the problem we can agree on.
Mm-hmm.
The solution we cannot.
So the interesting thing is, yes, like, we need change. We need preventative care versus reactive care. I would argue we should have a human right to health care in this country.
Absolutely.
I would argue that people should be able to see the doctors that they want to see. I believe that mental health care should be covered, as well as exercise and body work and all of the ancillary things that we know help health outcomes. But what is so interesting to me about the MAHA movement is that it's so focused on singular things. Like, it's so focused on vaccines and getting rid of vaccines, when we know that vaccines have prevented polio, measles, mumps, rubella, right? We know, and we have lived the benefits in this generation of not having friends who've had scarlet fever.
You remember chickenpox?
Chickenpox.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but how it's gotten so focused on that and red dye and very specific things, when actually I would argue that the issues are more with the system.
Of course.
And why is no one questioning Blue Cross or Aetna or like the private healthcare system that's on the stock market?
I mean, don't make me flip this table over, child. Because here's the thing. I think these individual interventions work when you are from an advantaged socioeconomic position.
Correct.
And from a racial group that
So you can buy all organic food. Good for you. Most people can't do that.
Here we go. Here we go. And so some of these MAHA moms, I would imagine a very large proportion of them have the privilege of being able to live a lifestyle that for many of us feels alternative. So when you start to talk about these other policies that they want to be rescinded, my first thought is, what does that mean for a poor Black or brown child in rural Mississippi? Because if they get sick, if they don't have access to vaccines or antibiotics, what does that mean for their health care long term?
It means they die.
Exactly.
And we've also seen from this administration that actually they don't care about that. They don't care if poor kids or poor women die
At all.
So I think we need to kind of say the thing and start from that baseline. I find it deeply disconcerting that the movement has gone in such polar directions that we have now gotten to a place where, like, eating well, questioning protocol, advocating for access to healthy food and water is somehow in opposition to vaccines, preventative care, antibiotics when you have a bacterial infection. Talk about vaccines. Vaccines against STIs.
They are against those as well?
Everything.
Okay, so this is what's also interesting to me, because I think if this was a Venn diagram, what would be in the middle of it is conspiracy theories, right? So there's some adjacency, I would imagine, to like the QAnon believers. There is this idea that everyone is out to get us, and that everyone is lying, and that Hillary Clinton is
eating pizza and children
in the basement and eating children and drinking their blood. And from that, we have all of these splinter groups. And I think there is probably some convergence, right? But the big question for me is, and what do we do next? And so there are some truths that I think we just have to give out on this podcast today. There is no proof that vaccines cause autism. And the singular study that may have hinted towards that was debunked, correct?
Correct. But I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here.
Oh, shit. The bitch done got red pilled.
I agree, right? There is no medical data that shows the correlation, but people are terrified.
For sure.
And there are families that have really strong anecdotal data in their experiences that they had a normal functioning baby, and then after a vaccine regimen, their baby changed.
Okay.
Now, one could argue that might have just happened in the course of their development, right? Autism shows up at different times, or neurodiversity shows up at different times. And so someone who presents as neurologically, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but like neurologically not diverse, could become neurologically diverse at different points.
For sure.
So it could have happened in the normal course of things, and probably did, but that doesn't take away from people's fear. And one of the kind of core parts, as far as I can tell, in people's fear is the idea that there is added mercury in the vaccines to preserve multi-dose vaccines, meaning that in vials where there are going to be multi-dose, there's an additive that contains mercury that many people in the movement have pointed to as kind of the cause of autism. And I've heard different things about it. Maybe it's just the mercury. Maybe it's the last dosage in the multi-dose vials. I've also heard that, like, you don't want the last dose in the multi-dose vial because the mercury sinks to the bottom. I mean, people have very, very strong, and you laugh, but like, it's a fear.
No, I'm not making light of people's fears. I'm just saying, do you know the level of research you have to be aware of as an individual to be able to singularly point out a very, 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 very small amount of mercury in a very, very small percentage of vaccines?
Okay, so here's the thing though. That additive has been taken out of the child vaccine course many years ago. So it's not even there anymore. You can get individual doses of the vaccine now. There's no mercury. Okay, so that should really, as far as I can tell, have nothing to do with the preventative childhood vaccines.
This is where the misinformation happens.
Where there is some of the mercury is in flu vaccines.
Okay.
In multi-dose flu vaccines. So there's some percentage of the flu vaccines, a small percentage, like 15% that are multi-dose. All of the flu vaccines we give our kids, those are singular dose. They go up the nose. There's a single shot from a small, those are single dose. So there's no mercury. So, okay. So people are scared of this thing. This is where I come. I think we diverge though. People are scared of this thing. There's no data that shows a medical correlation. We've taken it out of the childhood vaccine regimen into single doses. Just take it out of the flu vaccine and have them all be single doses. So I'm having this conversation with my husband and he's like, okay, fine. But why do people eat tuna fish and not take a vaccine? There's more mercury in a can of tuna fish. And I was like, okay, good point.
Don't give them any ideas, Josh.
No, but this is a PR problem.
It's a mis and disinformation problem.
Here we need an ad. Do you eat this? Do you take this?
No, so I'm going to push back, Em, because facts, it has been shown that facts are immaterial when you are caught up in these conspiracy theories. Your brain has your prefrontal cortex has gone to bed, bitch. It is not coming back.
So the pro-vaccine advocates, of which I would argue I am one, though I'm trying to kind of build a bridge. No. The pro-vaccine advocates say the same thing as you.
Okay.
That we tried that. We took the mercury. We stopped doing multi-dose childhood vaccines and people still are not getting their kids vaccinated. And there's still measles outbreaks now and polio is reemerging when we know that we had gotten it under control.
I have a theory. Can I
Yeah.
call on me? I think this is this is because we still have not gotten to the root, which is systemic. We have a structural problem. So even though we are facing or we are attempting to bring facts to this population, to the MAHA movement and to others who are health skeptics, it does not matter because the fruit of the tree is still going to bear poison because we live in a society that profits off of our dis-ease. So until that is fixed, these people, it does not matter what facts you give them because we still have these outrageous rates of, chronic diseases and illnesses. Our children are still facing high rates of obesity. They're on devices scrolling all fucking day. PE's being taken out of schools, right? So we still have a classically disease system that is causing diseased outcomes of the American population. So until that's fixed, it doesn't matter what we tell them.
Right. Take all the red dye out you want.
It don't matter. It does not matter. What I know is that my cousin at the age of 40 just died from a massive heart attack. What I know is that his sister died before she was 35 from a stroke and had blood pressure that was out of control. What I know is that based upon data, for a Black person, your income is immaterial. You will still have the same level of health disparities as a poor Black person. That's that. So it does not matter what we say to people because the system is so diseased. How do we fix that?
How?
Oh, no, girl. You had me. And then you just dropped the whole argument.
So I have some ideas. I mean, right. Like, so can I just back up a little bit?
Yes, please.
So yesterday, so we're filming, as we said, in July. And Tashira flew in Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah.
And for those who've listened to the podcast or know, I have 3 kids. And you showed up. And how many kids are in my home right now?
1.
Right. My 5-year-old is in my home. Where are my other 2 children?
At overnight camp, sleepaway camp.
Right. They are in the woods somewhere with no devices. They're all wearing green shorts and gray T-shirts. They are swimming in a lake. They are playing soccer, they are mountain biking, they are singing songs, they are living in a single sex environment, they have to take care of their tent and their cabin, they are in the woods. The only way they can communicate with us is through letter. They brought a bunch of books, and that's it.
That's beautiful.
And that's because I'm rich.
Period.
And I have prioritized that for them. And we know that is going to directly correlate to a health outcome from them. They're active, they're eating well, they're with friends, they're off their devices, they're exercising. And it doesn't matter if they're not eating organic food. Their health outcomes are going to be better because they're doing things that are good for them.
And they're learning that at a young age. We were talking about this earlier, how much we are not aware of what it means to live healthily in this society and to do so through the different stages and phases of life.
Right. So like having some powder that you buy on Instagram isn't going to make you healthy. Having some, I'm going to say stuff and you're not even going to know what I'm talking about, but this is real. Like doing some random parasite cleanse that you buy from some influencer from God knows where isn't going to make you healthy. And sure, maybe you are struggling from intestinal parasites, but you shouldn't be buying unregulated stuff.
And so let's go here because I think it's really important. I saw a bit of the health skepticism come into a reel recently on IG that I posted with my friend Preston, and we talked about propaganda, MAGA propaganda that we would not be falling for.
Oh, I loved that one.
Thank you. And at the time of us posting that reel, Florida had just voted to remove the fluoride from the drinking water. And can you tell us why fluoride is important, especially for poor communities?
So fluoride is, as far as I know, something that prevents teeth decay.
Exactly.
So for communities that might not have access to preventative dental care, fluoride is something that will preserve the health of individuals' teeth, gums, and mouth.
Exactly. And all you have to do is go to any underdeveloped nation in this world that does not have it and has never had it and see the rates of tooth decay, gingivitis, losing teeth young. This is real. If you have friends who grew up in, let's say, sub-Saharan Africa, in certain countries, this is real, okay? And so we post in the reel, we say, removing fluoride from drinking water. It wasn't the comment about Gaza. It wasn't the comment about femininity coaches. It wasn't the comment that went to any other.
Wait, what are femininity coaches?
Girl.
Coaches.
A different episode. So stay tuned for the next season.
Is that to be submissive to your man?
Exactly. You know how I just told you this morning, submission, bitch? If you had a coach, you would have known that.
I wouldn't have snapped at my husband for spilling coffee all over you. I should have submitted to his poor choice to bring a coffee.
How did we get back? Margo, come on, focus right now. Leave Josh alone. So it was the fluoride in the drinking water thing that got the girls tussling in the comments. They were upset, talking about how fluoride caused cancer, how fluoride was so bad, how we can't trust the government. And by the way, have you ever heard of Tuskegee? All of these things. It was the fluoride in the drinking water. And so the way that they are using health skepticism to attack the Black community is a thing to watch.
So I'm going to add something to this.
Okay, no, go ahead, please.
Because this is why having these conversations are important. I agree, by the way. Water freaks me out. And you know this. As cancer survivors, water and PFAS and what is in our water.
What's a PFAS?
PFAS is a type of chemical that is sometimes found in well, those are microplastics. That's also something that freaks me out. So in plastic water bottles, but so PFAS are chemicals that are found in some forms of unfiltered water.
Okay.
So they can be from chemicals, like chemicals from landscapers or runoff or pollution. So I just, like, for those listening who are scared of water quality in this country, I am with you. And I think about this probably more than the average person. And what I will say is that it's not this is my opinion. It's not the fluoride. It's not the fluoride, bitch.
That should be the next slogan, the progressive slogan to counter MAHA.
We need to talk about water.
See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
So, right. These MAHA moms can buy really, wait, do you know what a Berkey is?
I know what a Birkin is, but not a Berkey.
Okay, so Berkeys are the super fastidious, sensitive water filters.
First of all, what the fuck is fastidious?
Like you have to be like really careful with her or she's not gonna work.
Okay.
And the Berkey filters the water. It's like a status symbol of wellness people to have a Berkey. They're many hundreds of dollars. And they actually look nice, but they look like a stainless steel pot.
Okay.
And I think they really got popular in the pandemic, but I could be wrong there. So if you go into a lot of like acupuncture studios or wellness places or yoga studios, sometimes you'll see Berkeys.
Okay.
Berkeys are like $600. And you have to clean them in a certain way. They filter certain things out of the water. Then you test the water and then you like drink the water. Okay, fine. Berkeys are one water filtration system. Getting a home water filtration system, that's really kind of probably the most efficient.
Yeah.
Could, depending on the type of water you have, if you have hard water, could be thousands of dollars. Okay, so again, we're talking about not only people who know this, who've researched this, who can afford it.
Period.
Most people don't own their own home, so they can't put in a water filtration system. And so why don't we work on taking shit out of our water?
But again, the problem is not fluoride. And I think it's easy to like latch on to these buzzwords and not to truly understand just the depth of the health crisis in this country.
So like, let's play it out. We take fluoride out of water. Fine. For you and me, fine. Because we go to the dentist twice a year. We brush our teeth. We floss, all those things. Although, you know, whatever. I'm not the best flosser. And, but for those populations that don't have access to good dental care, what happens?
And this is the question that I continue to ask over and over again. Some of these things, and this is where white supremacy comes into play, that RFK and the MAHA movement, they're calling for, without access to the time and the economic resources for their replacement or for an alternative, it is poor people and Black and brown people who are going to suffer the most.
Right, but and like play it out. So no fluoride in the drinking water. Young people, older people have rotting teeth.
Yeah.
But we don't have access now to antibiotics. So what happens? You die of a bacterial infection from your gums.
And Medicaid and Medicare are being like defunded at this very moment.
So again,
the big,
like
beautiful bill.
We've lost the plot. I also think it's just so disingenuous. So like one of the head figures of the MAHA movement is this woman. I'm not even going to say her name, but her handle is Food Babe.
She blonde?
No, actually. She's a former Democrat, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, like a very moving story that just like went, like was sick, like no one could figure it out. She started implementing healthy, holistic, preventative lifestyle and got better. Like that's a very like quick summation of her health history.
Yeah.
Anyway, she sells powder. She sells protein powders and bars.
There's a financial interest in this.
And I just don't understand how we can take any of these people seriously.
So let's talk about like people who we know have been invested in that movement, Black women at that, who have not survived it. And so I want to bring in two folks before we go to what it truly means to be healthy. And that's how we're going to wrap this episode. So you all please continue to tune in because this is a very, very important topic we're discussing. But first is my bonus mom, who we lost after it wasn't even a full 12-month bout with cancer. Got diagnosed. We think it was early on. I don't even know if she went back to get tested for the stage. She immediately got sucked into these tropes around manifestation and positive thinking and positive mindset. And then, in my opinion, and I don't want to overspeak for my entire family because, you know, my siblings may disagree, but I think me and my dad were on the same wavelength about this, that she went to these quote unquote alternative treatments for healing. And it did not work because it was a bunch of fucking snake oil. It was that she was to treat her cancer with CBD oil. And just to give you all, and no, Margo knows this, an idea of how rampant breast cancer runs in my family, she got diagnosed as I was treating cancer. I'm here. And I went through a pretty Western course of treatment. I had some help through acupuncture and healthy eating. You got me an Instacart subscription. You know, I invested in my mental health, and I also used THC and CBD, but I had a very integrated approach. She went full in to the degree that she could afford on this CBD, THC, or CBD treatment. And the cancer metastasized within maybe 6-7 months. And Michelle was not yet 60. She may have been 55. May she rest well. The best bonus mom, I swear. She had such a fundamental role in my life. The reason I'm even close to my siblings right now is not because of my ain't shit ass daddy. It's because of Michelle Ice. And so to think that she was taken away from here because of the influence that these snake oil salespeople have over our communities pisses me off. So when you hear the passion in my voice, it's because I have examples of those who I love who have fallen victim to this. And then we have Ananda Lewis. You want to tell folks about her?
Ananda Lewis, yeah. I mean, this was tragic 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ananda Lewis, for those of us who were born in the 80s, right? An incredibly beautiful, vibrant MTV VJ, kind of at the forefront of music and pop culture and content creating. Honestly, I mean, like really an idol for those of us born in the early 80s, I would say, because she was just a little bit older than us.
Yeah.
Got diagnosed with breast cancer, decided to not treat through any Western means until it spread to stage 4. And then I don't know exactly what she did, but did welcome in some Western intervention, but it was too late.
It was too late.
And she died at 52.
So for folks who don't, and with a young child at that.
13.
So for folks who don't know, at stage 4, it's called metastatic breast cancer, and there is no cure for it. There are people like Miss Debbie and others who I know you know as well, who may live with it, but their diagnosis is living with cancer.
Correct. I know a lot of people who are living with cancer, and thankfully, you can do that now with some people can do that now with certain medical interventions. It kind of staves off the growth of the cancer, but the cancer is always there.
It is always.
And you're always living in treatment. And the, real risk is, of course, if you stop treatment, the cancer metastasizes and
ends your life. Yeah. And so in the case of Ananda, who I know many of us also know from the early days at BET, she was a Howard alum, like just a pillar in so many communities. We don't want to ever say that people cannot choose what to do with their bodies, right? Ananda could choose, Michelle could choose. Do I wish they would have chosen differently? Absolutely. But what pisses me off is the way they have been influenced into these positions.
And how being well has been taken away from people who decide to get treated.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like, if you are in touch with yourself, if you are centered, if you're present, if you kind of believe in the power of energy and manifestation, actually all of which I deeply believe in.
I mean, those things, if you look at research, are an important component, but they're just a component.
Correct. And we need data. There is a lot of data with medical research supporting different, for cancer, for example, cancer interventions.
Yeah.
And so of course, people have the choice to stop treatment, to not do treatment. I would never take that away from someone. What I'm with you is when people feel convinced that treatment or any treatment is going to make them sicker.
And I remember exactly Michelle saying to me towards the end, she said, I just wish someone would have told me about low dose chemo. I just didn't want to go through chemo, and I didn't know there were alternatives. And so, yeah, there is a lack of information. And also, back to the financial component and whose interest this all benefits, no matter what side of the spectrum you are on. Ananda said in an interview with her best friend, she said, I had to stop my alternative course of treatment because of money. These wellness centers, these supplements, these juices, all of these things are so incredibly cost prohibitive. So even if they were going to work, you have to be Jeff Bezos to be able to afford them at that level. So what are we doing? What are we doing, Em? Talk us through before we leave some just very basic kind of health information 101 about our bodies.
Well, and I would just also say before we end, and maybe we do a whole nother episode on this, like we've lost the plot too, because what's happening is that RFK, Trump, Vance, all of these people are cutting billions of dollars of medical research, right? So any advancement has been stalled in any form of treatment, even alternative forms of treatment, right? So if, for example, for those of us who've dabbled or who are interested in psychedelic treatment to help with things that we've experienced.
Yeah, complex trauma especially.
That is research that has started through the NIH that is now stopped. So for all of those MAHA people who believe in psychedelic treatment, sure, do it on the black market, but it's not going to be any type that's dosed correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, I could go on about all of this. What does it mean to be healthy? Okay, this is something that I think about a lot. And in my program, and something I deeply believe in, it is bio-individual, meaning what's healthy for me might not be healthy for you. And so I think we have to move away from this one size fits all, like eat your body weight in protein, paleo, keto, this powder, this supplement. We need to think about what works for our bodies. What are our lifestyles demand? Yeah. What time do we have for food preparation? What sort of financial access do we have in terms of buying different fruits and vegetables? How much of our time and diet is on the run?
Yeah.
Versus can we sit down and eat a meal?
Yeah.
That's only you can answer that question, right? And so I think we have to start from there. Then what are your goals? What time of life are you in? You know, we talk a lot about being menopausal as young women that have experienced menopause early for different medical reasons.
Yeah. In
a menopausal state, your body changes. Your body's needs change. Your metabolism changes. And you know, we've had a lot of conversations about body acceptance and fat phobia. I mean, I think that's part of the conversation, but also what are your nutritional needs? Are you trying to balance your hormones? Are you not trying to balance your hormones? Are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to get pregnant? Are you postpartum? Right? All of these are kind of very individual to the person. And so I think we have to start there.
And if you need support, then speaking with your doctor, finding a nutritionist, these people are covered by many health insurance plans.
So it's interesting because when we were preparing this episode, I said to Tashira, you know, I really would recommend everyone getting a nutritionist, but I don't feel comfortable saying that because that is such a privileged thing. And she was like, no, it isn't.
No, because with certain...
So we can disagree.
Yeah, because I think with certain platforms, and I don't want to name anyone in particular, we're not sponsored. I don't want to give, you know, medical advice. But there are certain online platforms that will connect you with credentialed nutritionists that if you cannot pay, they have sliding scale options. And the most it might be is $100 an hour. You see that person once a month. You're spending more on DoorDash than at Starbucks. So it's about how we prioritize and privilege, you know, in these conversations, our health and how we spend our money to be healthy. That's all I'm saying. And again, I don't think many of us know that nutritionists are covered by insurance.
They
Again,
absolutely
when
are.
they are credentialed. Yeah.
Credentialed in a certain way.
Okay. Tell us that, please.
So there are a lot of different nutritional certifications, and what is certified is very state dependent.
Okay.
And so I think it just depends on the state that you live in. Certain states, registered dietitians are the only ones that are covered by health insurance. In other states, you can have alternative certifications like nutritional therapy practitioners or otherwise. So I think you just need to look at your state.
Okay.
But yes, there are platforms that connect you to nutritionists that are certified in your particular state. So for example, when I'm in practice, at least in the beginning, I won't be able to accept insurance, but I will be doing sliding scale.
Lovely.
And so I think it is a privilege, but it's also about priorities.
So I'm going to just say a couple things to you before we close, and you give me from your nutritional practitioner learnings. And
I love this.
Okay, what you would say? People are saying protein, 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 protein. Is that true? That I should just focus on protein and make that the first and most important pillar in my diet?
Depends on the quality of the protein. What are you talking about? Animal protein? Are you talking about soy protein? Are you talking about legumes? Like beans, or are you talking about powders? And if you're talking about powders, like protein powders, what's in those powders, and how are you eating them?
Okay. Number two, that.
But I think protein is important.
Okay.
Very.
Dairy is bad, and I should only do plant-based milk.
Well, if you're lactose intolerant, or can't stomach dairy, then sure. But no, false. I think that dairy's gotten a really bad rap. I think in particular, full fat dairy has gotten a really bad rap. And I actually think it is incredibly nutritious under the right circumstance. I think the issue with dairy products is oftentimes people are eating them with a lot of additives, like sugars, right? So I would say, full fat, plain yogurt is great. Strawberry yogurt, like fat-free strawberry yogurt, I would stay away from.
Interesting. Okay. Last one, no carbs.
We need carbs. And I think also people think of carbs in a particular way. So vegetables are carbs, fruits are carbs, beans are carbs, certain dairies are carbs. I don't believe in no carbs. No.
All right. Any last?
Because we need fiber.
This was the other thing that I wanted you to point out. Talk about, so we're fascinated with protein, which you say is good, but why do we leave fiber out of the conversation?
So fiber is particularly, I would say for women, but for everyone, fiber is super important. And fiber is a lot of different things, right? So there's insoluble fiber and soluble fiber, but broadly, people should be eating between like 30 and 40 grams of fiber every day. And most people are not getting anywhere near that. Fiber binds to different undigested things in your digestive tract and in your colon and helps you remove them from your body. It also takes out toxins, right? So if you just eat protein and no fiber, how are you digesting your food?
That part.
And we don't actually know. We know it's not good, but it's not good for food just to sit in your digestive tract for weeks on end.
No, y'all got to get that shit about you. You got to eliminate. A healthy elimination is really important.
Absolutely. So like one of the core foundations of what I think about is like, what does your diet look like? Is it nutrient dense? How's your sleep? How's your digestion? How's your stress? How's your movement? Like all of those things have to work together because if you're not digesting well, you're not healthy.
Toni Morrison once said, you want to fly? You got to give up that shit that weighs you down. And bitch, why you laughing? And who knew that it was literal?
It was literally about pooping.
It was literally about shit this whole time, and this light bulb just went off. Thank you for it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, you good people.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Drink your water, bitch. Without that, what you said was in the water that was bad?
PFAS.
No PFAS in the water. No microplastics in the water. Do your research. log off, get some fresh air, and continue to stay tuned. So thank you all so much for tuning into this season of JustUS. We're happy to be back.
We're so happy.
Let us know down below your thoughts on our first episode and any other topics that we should touch. And we will see you good people next time.
Bye, everyone.